Hi. So I've been trying to record this video for the last 43 minutes and I'm still struggling because honestly, I think for so many years of my life, I believed that going to a therapist or needing help with my mental health was problematic and, an implication of real problems or being crazy. That the fact that I even managed to get myself to go to therapy last year and continue it for about a year and see myself come out so much stronger, it's still something that I'm kind of processing. But the reason I said that is to let anyone who's, seeing this video understand just two simple things. One, your mental health matters, no matter what anyone else makes you feel or what you're feeling or not feeling. And number two, this conversation about why we need to talk and normalize and take away the stigma from mental health and catering to our emotional and psychological well being is important. So, number one, your mental health matters. I think that since the minute we're born, we're bombarded with expectations. Oh, is your kid talking yet? Oh, is she forming sentences yet? To, oh, is she learning her ABCs? To, when you get to school, oh, how much did she get in her board exams? To, I don't know, which college did she get into? And, oh, does she have a job? Is she married? Blah, 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 blah. And other than personal expectations from what, your career graph, if I can call it that, you're also expected to have good relationships with family, with friends, with co-workers, with teachers, with peers. And then there's also the other tenets of your personality that just need to be worked on, like hobbies and skills and talents. But simultaneously, since you're born, you're also, I think, given a message of, if you want to be really good at what you do, or if you want to be considered successful, then you have to get down and get your hands dirty no matter what. This whole attitude of no matter what happens is usually sort of translated into people thinking that no matter what their mental state or emotional state of well-being is, they need to push themselves, because unless it is a tangible and seeable and touchable problem with their body and their well-being, it's not acknowledged or considered important enough, to be considered a real reason for them to be given like a break or to be cut some slack. And I think that's why we need to have this conversation about how important it is to acknowledge on an everyday basis that my mental and psychological health combined with my emotional and physical health is what constitutes me as a person, right? So to ignore the fact that I wake up one day and I don't even have the will to get out of my bed for whatever reason. Everyone has their own story and you can't generalize any form of, even mental illness or mental health ups and downs. But I'm saying if I were to wake up one day and just feel no motivation whatsoever and call up my boss and tell him or her that I just can't make it, chances are I won't be given a leave without some amount of skepticism if that was the reason that I told them it is. And chances are I wouldn't even just tell them, hey, I don't feel so good, that's why I'm not coming in. I would probably say something like, I have a stomachache, or I have a fever, or I have a doctor's appointment. Because I think for so long we've been told that how we're feeling, whether in our stomach, at the bottom of your stomach when you're anxious, or if you're sad, in your heart, or like in your mind, if you're just numb, whatever it is, for so long we've been told that unless it is a physical injury or a physical manifestation of some sort of pain, that it's not important enough for you to acknowledge. And I think that needs to change. So, because your emotions and your feelings exist for a reason, and when you do feel overwhelmed by them, it is unfair to pretend like that is not an overbearing power that you can't control. And it's unfair to tell people who are, say, diagnosed with depression to just try and be happier, or to tell someone with anxiety to not worry. If it was that simple, people would have figured out that switch in their brains decades ago, and we wouldn't even be having this conversation right now. So I think it is super important to acknowledge that your mental health matters, because your entire well-being and your life and everything that you are able to give into life and your ability to engage with your everyday is dependent directly on your mental health. And secondly, this conversation and this discourse about how important it is to try and take away this stigma from mental health not being a real problem, or people with mental health issues being crazy or called lunatics, I think to change that perception is also just as important. And I think with each one of us acknowledging how much we need to take care of ourselves, and try and extend that to also sections of society that are not as privileged to, have support systems like a therapist and friends who can be there for them, and the, financial privilege to like quit your job to recover or heal. We need to try and think eventually about how to extend this kind of an idea that, you being okay is important to me and to your employer and to everyone else, and therefore it should be important to you as well. I think that is a conversation that is extremely important to have, because we all know that everyone's going through their own shit, excuse the language, but everyone has their own stories and their own baggage. And to create a kinder world, to create a world that's premised on compassion, I think the first step is to acknowledge that mental health matters, because that's what I believe. Thank you.